Welcome back to the KSSR space program. Where we left off, we had just got done sending a whole bunch of probes out to the moon and Minmus, and now we are going to be getting ready to start taking the next steps of our crewed space program. So we're going to unlock solar power systems here to get access to some of these solar panels. These ones are going to be good for probes. This will be important later, and these ones are going to be important in just a minute. And we're also going to get crew support, which is going to give us our Koyuz capsules. This is going to be, well, these are going to be some of our workhorse parts for a significant portion of this playthrough. Now, that should give us access to a fair amount of additional contracts. Gonna have to go through and like recycle some of these just to make sure. Yeah, see, we've met all these requirements. We just gotta wait for some of these to work their way into the system. So we got here, transfer crew between vessels. Well, we'll be doing that once we get the Koyuz stuff going. Cycle that. Okay, here we go. Koyuz 1. Now, we also have Moon 4, which is a sample return mission to the moon. That's going to wait for a while. Right now, we're going to do our first Koyuz mission. All we got to do is go up to orbit and land. And you're going to see we've got some decent rewards. 25 science and 25,000 funds. So the funding will sort of help offset, you know, the cost of the launch. So Koyuz is our second generation manned spacecraft. As such, we're going to be putting a little bit more emphasis on things like safety than we did with Voskhod, which was just to kind of prove that we could actually get something into space. So I'm going to build a Koyuz mission here, and then we're going to do some testing. Okay, so we have our fully assembled and built Koyuz mission, and the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to do a launch abort test. This is to make sure that in the event of a failure, which is not unknown to the KSSR space program, we're able to successfully perform an abort. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to ascend up to about, like, maybe, 7,000 or 8,000 meters or so. No particular hurry here. Alright, so our rocket's going good. Alright. So let's say here we're going out of control. So let's do an abort. Perfect. Jettison our fairing. Excellent. That was a very clean abort sequence. So that's what we were looking for. It was just to make sure that, in the event of some catastrophic emergency, we can abort out and recover our crew. So we are going to revert that to launch. Again, that was just a test. Now we're going to send our first Koyuz mission up here to orbit, just to verify that everything works. And sure enough, all we got to do is get into orbit and then land back in order to complete that contract. So, up we go. Okay, we have our first Koyuz mission successfully launched into orbit. RCS seems to be functioning. We got solar power. Realizing I do need to add some extra batteries. I did forget to add some more batteries to this design. I also forgot to add the Kerbal Engineer module, which can become important for some later stuff. Let's test the lights. Perfect. Let's test the probe. Good. The docking probe can retract. Excellent. Not bad. So let's test this. I want to test the translation controls, and I want to look for excessive wobble. Alright, wobble's not too bad. And the reason that matters is, again, when we want to plan to do docking, we're going to need the translation controls not to generate excessive wobble like this. Like if the thrust was too far removed from the center of gravity, it's called angle of moment. If these RCS thrusters were way up here, we'd get this kind of rotation instead of just moving to the side. So that becomes very important. All right, and let's also check. Good. Good. Okay, this is a successful test. Let's Oh, that's right. Jeb can't exit because there's no crew hatch. Let's have Jebediah. Where is he? Let's transfer Jebediah up to the ops module here, and then have him do an EVA out. Whoa. Uh-oh. Okay. That was a little scary. I should have retracted the antenna first. That didn't occur to me. But we successfully did an EVA with Jeb, and we'll remember for the next time we want to do that we should retract the antenna there. Now, let's just... oh, yeah, we also need to transfer Jeb back into the descent module, or else he would be killed when we jettison this for re-entry. So let's do a crew report. Not enough electric charge. Yeah, we definitely need to add some more batteries for this. But we've proved the core design of our Koyu's module here is viable, and it works generally, even if the first mission had some trouble. And in reality, unfortunately, the first Soyuz mission had some trouble. So it's not entirely without precedent for us to run into some issues. Alright, so let's go in for a re-entry. And the re-entry procedure, of course, for the Koyus here, it's going to be a little bit different than it is for, like, Voskhod or a more conventional space capsule from that other competing space program on the other side of the planet. In that this spacecraft is designed a lot more modular. So we're going to jettison our our operations module up there, then position ourselves oriented for re-entry. Lose a little bit more altitude, and then jettison what's left of that, our service module. Okay. Yep. And this is how we do descent with the Koyus. And you're also going to notice when we did that, it jettisoned our periscope as well, because we don't need to take that with us. Okay, so we had a successful launch and recovery of our first Koyus mission, and we completed our contract for it. That's good. Let's see what we can do next. Alright, explore Kerbin. Still transfer crew. That's something we can think about very shortly. Alright, Koyus 2. This is just to do an EVA in space, which is actually, that works out well with, well, no, I'll have to do that differently. But that's fine. Now, we also have some contracts to send the first probe to another planet, and we have missions to go to Duna and Eve. However, I don't believe we have the transmitters we would need in order to do those missions comfortably. Let me look around here. Yeah, I don't think we've got the transmitters we need. We're going to want to get up to advanced radio here. And that's fine. We'll work in that direction. But for right now, we're going to do... Oh, how do we still have that? Oh, alright. Well, I guess it wants us to put a probe in orbit around Minmus. We can do that real quick. And for good measure, we'll make that a relay probe. Okay, we have our Mina 2 probe, which is based on the 1MV probe bus, which is kind of a standardized probe design that the KSSR space program may end up reusing for a whole bunch of stuff in the future. So we're going to get this going on its way to Minmus. Okay, so we've gotten our 1MV probe here into a pretty near circular orbit of Minmus on the first try. So that actually worked out really well. So let's, yeah, we just need to do some science. Let's see about doing that. And hopefully that'll complete the contract once it's done transmitting. Oh, we might not have enough electric charge to do it in one go. Oh. That is good to know for future reference. Yeah, the magnetometer data takes a lot to transmit. So let's do the charged particle analysis. That did it, and it looks like that finished the contract. Let's also do the rest of our science. Most of which I think we've already done, but just checking for good measure. Okay, excellent. And as a bonus, this probe can also serve as a relay, should that become necessary later on when we start doing some probes over to Minmus. And we'll go back in and check out our contracts in a moment. Okay, so our contracts were mostly the same, but for now, we are gonna take a look. Let's... Do we have... Yes, we have Koyus 2. So this is going to be another one just to do an EVA in orbit around Kerbin. And we're going to avoid a couple of the mistakes we made before. So we're going to load up our Koyus mission. And we're going to remember a couple of things that we did wrong the last time. We're going to remember to put in some additional batteries. Kind of important. Batteries are a good thing. So we've got... Yeah, it's going to be like 800 electric charge. That'll be sufficient. And we also want to remember to add in our Kerbal Engineer module. There we go. Just to say that we have it, if nothing else. And this isn't really a science-focused vehicle, so, you know, we don't have a lot of science experiments on here, but that's okay for now. So now let's go through, and we can start thinking about getting some additional crew members, because now that we have the Koyus assembled, we can send up 2 crew members at a time. So I like to start off and get an extra pilot. So I'm going to get Joe Cal Kerman, who's not too stupid and is extremely brave. And we're going to take a look at... yeah, I guess the only other pilot available is Hudger. But I kind of like the idea of doing a scientist. So what's that, Wilrim here? Yeah, he's also not very stupid and extremely brave. So I kind of like the idea of that, so we're going to go with him. And that cost us a bit of money to recruit those guys. But we'll hope it was worth it. So let's get them suited up correctly. And we will send Koyus 2 after we resave that. We'll send this up on its way. Alright, we've got our Koyus mission up into orbit. So let's see about transferring. Let's go with Wilram. I think he is the scientist, so we'll put him up into the orbital module and EVA him out. And he'll also be the first to go on a little untethered EVA here. Be using his little jetpack. Yeah, he's happy about that. Alright, let's not get too far away. Here, it stared directly into the sun. Yeah, he's all excited. Alright, so let's get him back inside. And we'll transfer him back in. Now our contract oh, we are high in space. Right. I forgot all about that. We need to actually be in space low for this particular contract. So let's go ahead and we'll lower our orbit down. Now we'll try that again, and this time we'll give our pilot, Joe Cal, we'll give him the opportunity. All right, Joe Cal had his chance. Okay, good. So now all we got to do is land, and we'll be good to go. All right, so let's transfer back around to the night side, and we'll do our deorbiting burn. All right, we're going to rotate back around just to make sure we're oriented well. And we're going to turn off the lights because we don't want to drain our electric charge. And with that, we should be ready for re-entry. So interesting. We did not get credit for completing that contract. I may have to go through and cheat that out and check the contract logic. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that right now. Please forgive me for pulling up the console and doing a cheat on that. I just want to... I'm going to have to check the contract logic afterwards, because we absolutely did do those mission requirements. Alright, so let's take a look. I notice we got 195. So it's going to be 300 to get up to these this next level of tech. And that's where some really interesting stuff's going to open up. We got, like, the ultraviolet camera. We got some probes. Some parts that are used to make, like, a space telescope. We got some significantly more expanded solar arrays, as you can see. Astrodynamics. This is an important one. It's got, like, the upgraded Koyus parts and also the VK parts, which are pretty important later. It's also got the parts we can use to make our first space station, as well as the RKS crew capsule. That's an interesting one when we get to it. But in order for most of that to be useful, we're actually going to need heavy lifting to get the parts for our neutron rocket. Now, let's just make sure real quick. All right, specialized boosters. This one is also useful for some smaller diameter sort of stuff. And thermodynamics is just all around useful. It's got, like, the radiator parts, the grid fins, and some larger payload fairings. But we'll be getting to that one later. For right now, we're going to pick up heavy lifting. This will allow us to do some really significant sort of missions, going off to, some pretty distant destinations. But for right now, I actually wanted to exit this. For right now, let me check my Koyus contracts. I'm hopeful there's a specific one that we might have available. Okay, this just wants a high altitude orbit. So that's fine. We're going to grab that. And the reason is, we're actually going to do a test. Now, one of the things that the Soviets tried to do is they wanted to use a stripped down Soyuz capsule for a flight around the moon. Sort of analogous to, like, I think it was what Apollo 8 did. Now, they got their hardware to a state where it was mostly working and ready, and they tested it. They had a successful flight after some failures. They had a successful flight where they sent up, I think it was like a bunch of turtles and a bunch of stuff like that, in a trip around the moon. So they did have at least one mission that worked, but they didn't send any people on board. And by that point, the Apollo program was already doing its thing, and they basically gave up, on all the moon objectives at that point. But they did have a mission, a credible mission. It was called Zond. That would have given them, the ability to send a crewed space mission on a flight around the moon. So what I am going to do, does that have? It doesn't. What I am going to do, I am just going to send up sort of an analog to that mission called Cond. And they were going to be using the proton booster, so we're going to be using the neutron booster. But first, we've got to get some of this other stuff sorted out. There we go. We've got our instrumentation package. Now we're going to assemble the rest of this, and we're going to be using our new parts to make a pretty significant booster. So we discovered in designing and building that we have to upgrade our launch pad. No big deal. We got the money. Oh, we gotta recover our launch clamps that are left over. Okay, now we're gonna go in and launch our cond mission. And with luck, we will be able to use this to send 2 of our Kerbonauts on a mission around the moon. So we're going to send... We'll send Valentina and Bob. How's that? Or not around the moon. This will be a test of the high altitude to fulfill that contract we've got. Assuming this all works out, and we didn't forget anything, we don't have to make any modifications, the staging all works right, and all that stuff, then we'll send this out. So we got to get this up to 450,000 meters. Uh-oh. Well, this is a problem. We've got some weird rotational stuff, and oh, look at this. Yeah, this is an issue. Okay. So, the Kraken has struck hard. We have, yeah, this is a problem. Yeah, it's like trying to straighten itself out every time we time warp, but not working too well. All right, I'm gonna hope for the best. That was a little strange. We've learned that we're gonna have to refine our method of jettisoning the launch abort system. Or we may just leave it off. We'll see what happens there. But for now, we're going to go ahead and circularize our orbit. Uh-oh. Oh, nope, that was fine. Yep, we're good. We're good. Okay, and this, yes, this gets our contract done, so now all we have to do is land. Alright, we're in space high, so we're going to take the opportunity to do some of this science that we've got kicking around up here. Just because we can. We've already done most of it, but that's fine. Now, the one disadvantage is with this cond mission, we can't do an EVA. So that is a genuine issue. But we're going to go around and get ready for re-entry. Yeah, that was some bad Kraken we had there. Okay, so we had a fairly successful set of missions. We did a bunch of Koyu's stuff, we got a bunch of science, and we had a little bit of a struggle with the Kraken, with our cond mission there. This next one is going to be just an endurance. So this next one, we got to send up a Koyu's mission for a week. That's just going to take a bunch of time. I will probably do that off camera in between episodes with a cond mission. And I'm also going to take the opportunity to troubleshoot the cond design and find a safer way to get rid of the launch escape system. So I will work on that between episodes, so make sure you check out the next one. As always, thanks for watching.